Glenn, what's this here? This is a lovely looking pond.
So this is my breeding pond for my tilapia. So I take water out of the stream, but the water in the stream is only 3 or 4 parts per million. Babbling little brook, and looks real nice, but there's not much oxygen in it. And we're in Hawaii, so the water's warm. It doesn't hold a lot of oxygen. So what I do is I use an air pump to pump it up 24 feet out of the stream, and then it comes over here in a 2-inch pipe, just running across the ground, and it comes out into my
Okay, I can
pond.
see it there. So that's giving you
Oxygen-
wonderful aerated water.
About 8 to 8.5 parts per million.
Yeah, and we can see these
24 hours a day.
big koi fish here that are really enjoying that, and I can see tilapia in there as well.
Yep. You all hang
Fantastic.
around the fountain.
Yep.
Yep.
So there you go, more aeration.
More
wherever
aeration.
we look.
If you're going to pump water, why not use air?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the pumping up. This is your water source for the whole place.
Right.
Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And like so many people in the world, you have water on your property, but it's down in a deep ravine.
Yeah.
The sides are too steep for me to walk down. You know, you'd have to rappel down. So we built a bridge across it, and we came out here and using the 260-watt pumps you saw there, I take the air in this garden hose, and I send the air down there, and I eject it in, and up she comes.
Now, Glenn, just hang on a minute. I want you to just stop a minute and explain what's actually happening here.
Okay.
This water's actually coming up from right down the creek, is it?
Right.
How many feet is that, Glenn?
About 24 feet.
24 feet, is it?
8 meters, yep.
Yeah. And it's just air. Those little pumps you showed me a minute ago, 40 watts?
60.
260-watt pumps?
Watt pumps.
And you're bringing up
Two
this
of them.
amount of water.
Yep.
Amazing.
So I send the air down in a garden hose,
Yep.
then I inject it into the pipe, and then it raises it up. As you see there, that's about 50% air,
Yeah.
and it's just pulsating. And we take this, and I run it into a bucket, you know, put one of my separate, and we time it, and it's 450 gallons an hour.
Wow.
So I have 900 gallons an hour coming up out of the
That's
stream.
about 1,800 litres per hour.
Yep.
Close to 2,000
Yep.
litres. And then the water runs off here by gravity into your pipe system and off to your farm.
Gravity feeds away.
The whole farm.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic. Now that in itself has got to be a major innovation for any place, isn't it? Really.
You would think
just
the
that part
water.
alone.
Just get the water.
Yeah, just to get the
So
water.
when we go like down a place like Philippines or even Fiji, where they have a lot of mountain streams, the mountain streams are down in the ravines, and it's too spooky to get to them.
Yeah.
If they lay a bucket down, you'll yank the bucket out of their hands, right? So it's a challenge. So what I do is I just drop this down into the water, and with air, I can pump it up.
Amazing.
And then everybody can fill up their buckets up here safely.
Now, Glenn, another thing about this place of yours is it's hilly.
Yep.
You've got a lot of, and up the road up here, you showed
Yep.
me earlier, you've got some lovely fish tanks.
Yep.
Can we have a
Let's
look
go
at
to
those?
the fish tanks. Yep.
Yep. Okay, Glenn, this is the fish tanks, 2 fish tanks. What have you got in here, mate?
Okay. So on this one, I'm using a mechanical pump at the sump tank, conventional type system. Mechanical pump, a little 1/3 or 1/2 horsepower pump, pumping the water back up my fish tank. And I used to just let the water fall into the fish tank.
Which so many people do, don't they?
Yeah,
They just
yeah.
let it fall.
And so if I did that, if I close this valve here, this will valve come. Now when it falls, you notice it splashes and you think, well, I'll get some aeration out of that.
Yeah.
But it does not stir up my tank at all. It's just putsy.
So you can actually have stratification in a tank.
Exactly, right. Where on the other hand, if I open up and I let the 2-inch come in here, I make bubbles in the tube,
Yep.
okay?
The same thing, the law of opposing forces is
That's
happening.
right, because you got 600 gallons an hour coming in, making bubbles, and forcing those bubbles down. They go down, this pipe goes down, makes a U-turn, and comes up here. I bring it over here, it dumps down, I restrict it to 2-inch, then I go to 3-inch, and it does it all over again.
And we can see the final bubbles
And you
coming
see
out
the
here.
bubbles over here coming out.
But Glenn, now look, this is something you need to explain to people. It looks like there's a whole pile of bubbles there and not many here. What's happened to the bubbles? Where have they gone?
So watch this. The height of this water is determined by this pipe here. Like watch, if I turn it off, this water and that water will equal out.
They'll level, yep.
Level, right? So notice the bubbles coming up, the tiny bubbles drifting back up.
Yep.
Well, when this comes in and makes big bubbles, it beats itself up,
So they get compressed.
pulverizes, and they get compressed. Now really cool, when this comes down here and it comes back up here, come over here, I'll show you something you won't believe. Look inside this pipe here where it comes up. How many bubbles you got?
Not one.
That's it.
That's because they've been
All squeezed in.
all squeezed in, yeah.
So I'm able to keep this tank in Hawaii at 75 degrees Fahrenheit, average temperature in summertime, 75 to 80. I keep myself at 7.5 to 8 parts per million.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It really is amazing.
Aerating warm water is a tough call.
It is.
So it's better if you use the water to do it itself.
Yep.
Yep.
Now, this little fire follower I'm leaning on,
Yep.
we've got two of them here. What
Yep.
are they, 40 watters or 60
60
watters?
waters.
They're two 60
Yep.
watters, and they're the ones that are providing.
So
what are they
this one
providing?
here, these are my backup. If this one's going on and off with the sump tank switch,
Uh-huh.
so I have this for a little consistency.
Okay.
No matter how good something worked, if something went wrong with that pump, everything would die.
Yep.
So you know what? I lay off the bet. I'll have just 2 of these. Now 2 of these would not normally be adequate to take care of a tank this large. But since it's already super oxygenated, if that switch down there is going on and off on the sump tank, this just carries the load in between.
Yep.
It's
yep.
survival.
Make sure that everything's
Right,
okay.
right.
Because
And I've learned not to have just one system.
Absolutely. Backups are so essential, and I'm always surprised when I travel around the number of places I go to that don't have a backup system.
Amazing,
I'm just
isn't it?
amazed by it.
And I think the first video I saw of yours, first you said level the fish tank. And then when you went through it, you see you got it all set up. You said you got to wonder the day the utility is not going to be there.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
And you showed the little dropout relay.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And unfortunately, yours was 50 cycles. And we're
Yep.
60 cycles.
Yeah, yeah.
I had hunt all over America to find that silly thing.
Did you
Now
really?
a couple of people make them. But so when the electricity went off, it would turn the 12 volts on
Yep,
and
yep.
keep things alive.
It's absolutely essential.
Yep,
It really,
yep,
really is.
yep.
So, Glenn, would you mind, humouring me
Sure.
by catching one of these fish out?
Oh, I love it.
Because these fish
we love it.
are
We
not
love it.
exactly small fish.
Oh, yeah. Let's see if I can catch with this net.
Hey, look at that!
Now,
Now
you got
they're tilapia, aren't they?
these are tilapia.
Look at the
So
size of
that's
the
running
darn
about
things.
4 or 5 pounds there. Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
that? Hey. You go fishing at home.
We
Look
call
at that.
this the washer machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are nice little 2.5 pounders.
How about that, eh?
Yeah.
In kilos, that's 1.5 kilos.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Thanks, Glenn.
You betcha.
This has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
It's all so simple, disgustingly simple,
Yeah.
and yet it works so very, very effectively.
And the fish, because the water's so oxygenated, I don't have the blemishes, I don't have the diseases. In fact, a lot of people come for me for advice on how to deal with disease problems and fish problems.
Yeah.
And we don't have them.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like some places you go to the farms, they don't have sick plants. So they really can't help you if you have
No,
sick
no,
plants.
that's right, yeah.
They've got it together.
exactly.
So we find out it's all about being balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah, they're good fun.
Oxygen.
Yeah.
Oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. Thanks, Glenn. Now, Glenn, you've devised a rather unusual way of having a final kind of stage 3 backup, really, isn't it?
Right.
Now, in our lessons, we talk a lot about, backing up with electric pumps, that kind of thing. But this one's nothing to do with electricity. Can you explain to us how it works?
This one is great if you're in a community where you have pressurized water delivered to your home or your farm.
And plenty of it.
And plenty of it. You're not worried about it. So here's the trick. I take a water hose and it's hooked up to the faucet all the time.
This is
with a
coming
high-pressure hose.
from the water utility people.
Right. And that's delivered to me at least at 25 psi. Okay. I step it down to 25 psi. I don't want really high pressure because I want to put in as little water as possible and get the most bubbles. And you say, well, bubbles. Now watch this. I'm going to fake having a power failure. I'm going to turn the power off here. So these are going to go off. This will come on automatically.
Wow.
We have a little electrical valve. If the electricity goes off, it turns on the water.
So that's it. Now we've got utility supply
Right,
water
right.
until you come and fix the problem.
Right. Now, if you only shot it into the tank here, not bad. It's a reasonable amount of bubbles, but you have no current, and you're going to get that stratification you were talking about. There'll be air over here and not in the rest of the tank, and definitely not at the bottom.
Yep.
Those bubbles will never make it to the bottom. But what I figured out is if I put that little pipe inside of a bigger pipe,
Yep.
so this is a 3/4 inch pipe inside of an 1.5 inch pipe, now I get the bubbles all the way at the very, very bottom. And I'll turn it sideways here so you can see it.
Yep.
They're underneath the water, okay?
Yep.
And I get current. So
you're
this will
circulating the water.
I will circulate the water in the whole tank. So it's really prudent to me to have this going straight up and down and just shooting to the side, and it will just spin this tank.
Now, Glenn, one problem I can see with this, and that is if this was to run for 10 hours, you're going to flood your tank.
Right.
What do you do about that?
So we have an overflow. That pipe over there sets the maximum level.
Okay.
Now here's the cute part. You know in your garden hose, the little fire nozzle you can buy to put on there, it makes a tiny little hole? That's what's down at the bottom. And that shoots inside of another pipe. Now what that does, we took this and we put it in a 5-gallon bucket and we measured how much water was coming in, 150 gallons an hour.
That's a lot of water.
Here, the 150 gallon an hour, so this is a 900 tank, right? But watch this. Water here in Hawaii is $3 1,000 gallons on ag land. So 1,000 gallons on it, if I ran this 24 hours, the most I could use would be 24 times 150, or say 20 times 150. That'd be 3,000. So a little over 3,000 gallons of water. It would only cost me $9. True, it's going to be overflowing. But you know, I've got generators. I cannot run a generator for 24 hours for $9 of petrol, right? Plus, this makes no noise to bother my neighbors.
And what we're talking about, though, is stage 3 emergency measure.
You betcha. When all else fails.
So we're not going to say to any students, this is what you should do for a backup system. This is stage 3 backup system.
Right.
If all else fails, this will come on.
Right. Now the cute part, stage 2, is being when your film where you show doing the bilge pump with the little dropout relay. We show how to do that on that same bilge pump, put the little device on it, and it makes the air just like this, and you're not adding water.
You showed me that earlier, and I've forgotten about that. We should go and film that. We should go and film that.
Yeah. And the fish love it. They swim right into it.
Yep. Okay, Glenn, look, you know, we all know about bilge pumps for backup systems, and you've been doing it for a long time, and we've talked about it on many occasions, haven't we? But you've gone one step further here.
I did.
And you've made a vast improvement.
I was inspired by your video, and you showed the little dropout relay, and you showed the 12-volt little rule pump, you know, coming up, and you showed it. You had a pipe coming up and coming over and splashing down in the water, right? And I said, that's the way to go. But then I wanted to add it something else. So what I did is I come out of the pipe with a small pipe, and I just simply go into a bigger pipe.
So we're venturing it, really, aren't we?
Venturing it, right. Yeah. And so I call this a Glentury.
It's a Glentury.
A Glentury, right. And so I take this down. Now, if I have a power failure...
I'll just hold this.
You hold that.
So, okay. So what's happening, Glenn, is that the pump's pumping water through as you'd expect, but it's actually sucking air down through here.
Sucking air down. So you see the bubbles there?
Yeah, look at them.
If I put my thumb over, I can stop it, take my thumb off, they run.
Look at that.
See that?
So it's actually doing everything, isn't it?
Yep.
It's actually circulating the water in the tank,
right?
Because we don't want to have stratification,
right?
And we want to distribute the air all through the and it's adding so much air at the bottom,
not
at the top.
That's right. And it's a curtain of air all the way across. You see there?
So Glenn, I've got to take my hat off to you on that one. That is a vast improvement.
And you can go down to your local hardware store and buy 2 pieces of pipe. They'll fit in each other, and you hook it up with a hose clamp,
and away
you're good to go. Everything is exactly like your video, and you just add it on that little piece on the end.
I hate it when it's so easy and so simple.
That is. That's what we do.